Welcome to this week's Eagles Sports Update. I'm your host, Al Willman.
And I'm Jillian Seach, and here are this week's top sports stories.
The EMU gymnastics squad and wrestling team competed in what was dubbed Beauty and the Beast meet at the Convocation Center on Saturday against Northern Illinois University. The gymnasts took down the Huskies 194.775 to 193.950. As a team, the Eagles turned in a season-best 48.750 in floor exercises. Individually, senior Kimberly Ebeyer and sophomores Rachel Slocum and Kendall Valentin continued their strong seasons with solid performances on vault and uneven bars. Valentin scored a team-high 9.75 on vault, while Slocum and Ebeyer earned 9.725 and 9.675 respectively. Valentin notched a 9.8 on the bars. The Eagles improved to 7-1 and 2-0 in the MAC. They take on Central Michigan University on Friday at 6:30 at the Convo.
The wrestlers, on the other hand, struggled. They won only 3 decisions en route to a 21-9 loss. Sophomore Nicholas Barber won at 149 pounds. Redshirt freshman Dakota Juarez knocked off Shanique McCurdy, the 4th-ranked wrestler in the Mid-American Conference, while Derek Hillman, also a redshirt freshman, took the weight at 184 pounds. Saturday was also senior day for the wrestlers, and the team honored Vinny Pizzuto, Michael Shaw, Chris Raw, and Derek Davidson and Anthony Abro before the match. The Eagles dropped to 7-6 overall and 2-4 in the MAC. They do not have another home match this season. Will take on CMU in Mount Pleasant on Friday. The match starts at 7 p.m.
Both the men's and women's track teams competed at the Penn State National in Happy Valley over the weekend. Alsu Bogdanova paced the Eagles with a personal best 9-minute, 26.21 second finish in the 3,000-meter run, good for second in school history, behind Donna Donikowski, who ran a 9:14.44 in 1988. Bogdanova was also named MAC Track Athlete of the Week for the 3rd time this season. The 4x400-meter relay team of Kadisha James, Jasmine Jones, Morgan Yeadon, and Shantae Roberts won with a time of 3 minutes, 42.25 seconds. Janina Politz took 3rd in the pole vault at 3.85 meters, or 12 feet, 7.5 inches. A number of Eagle men had strong performances in the preseason meet as well, including Jeff Elam and Joshua Sabo, who finished 2nd in the 400-meter dash and 1,000-meter run respectively. Tyler Brown took 3rd in the 200-meter dash, and the 4x400-meter relay team of Elam, Brown, Mason Waynes, and Matthew Williams took 3rd as well. A pair of Eagles also ran in the Camel City Invitational in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Willie Fink took 4th in the 3,000 with a 7:56.04, while Saba Matko took 6th in the mile with a 4:11.85. Both are personal bests. Fink and weight thrower Anthony Jones were named MAC Track and Field Athletes of the Week as well. Both teams will be in South Bend, Indiana for the Mayo Invitational this weekend.
The women's basketball team dropped a close one to Akron, 75-72 on Saturday in Akron. Shea Sweeney was the leading scorer for EMU with 23 points. Janae Morton added 19. Shania Dean scored 11 off the bench for the green and white. The Eagles led by 12 points with a little more than 3 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, but Akron rallied with a 19-4 run to take the lead. EMU drops to 13-7 and 4-5 in the Mid-American Conference and will take on CMU on Wednesday in Faculty and Staff Appreciation Day at the Convocation Center. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. The men's basketball team dropped below the 500 on Saturday with a 94-86 loss to Western in Kalamazoo. Ty Toney led the way for the Eagles with 23 points, while James Thompson notched his 13th double-double of the season with 17 points and 11 rebounds. The Eagles dropped to 10-11 and 2-5 in the Mid-American Conference and will take on Miami University of Ohio tonight at 7 p.m. at the Convo.
That will do it for this week's sports news. I'll be right back with co-host Derek Maselli and this week's Pick 6. Stay tuned.
So I got this email telling me that I had exceeded my email storage limit. And in the email, it had a link for me to click on. And so, like an idiot, I click on this link and it takes me to a login screen. And so, of course, what do? I log in with my username and password, and it did not increase anything. All it did was steal my username and steal my password. I mean, mean, it looked real. So this thief sent an email virus to everyone on my contact list. My dad, my mom, like just everyone. And only God knows like what kind of damage they've done. Only God knows what else they stole before I changed my password. So now, I only click on the link if I know that it's legit or if I know that it's coming. If someone tells me, oh, I'm gonna send you a link, I don't just click on anything random. My name is Adirumi, and I'm trying to be e-safe.
Hey Ben, I saw that you had an eventful weekend.
What do you mean?
Duh! Ben, those party photos you posted online a couple days ago where you were living it up? You know, the ones where you were YOLOing all over the place? Here, let me show you.
All right, I got it. YOLO, you only live once. It's my excuse to act crazy. I deleted those pictures, though.
Yeah, about that. I screen grabbed some of those pictures and sent them to Benji. It was golden. You have to remember, Ben, what goes online stays online. And once it's out there forever.
Well, it's out there now.
Most of the time, after something gets posted to social media, it will be duplicated many times from server backups, living in the cloud forever, even after you remove it. A good rule of thumb is if you think what you're about to post could be harmful to you or someone else, just don't post it.
Yeah, last thing I want is for my family, or even worse, my employer or my friends to see me YOLOing all over social media.
Yeah, that applies to more than just pictures, you know. It can apply to all types of content posted online, including text and videos.
Oh man.
You should also be cautious about the amount of personal information you have available online for people to see, such as your full name, birth date, address, phone number, mother's maiden name, etc. Yeah, I'd hate for someone to see you're going to be at a party Saturday night, go to your profile, get your home address, and break into your house while you're out partying. Or use your birth date and your mother's maiden name to answer a security question in an attempt to reset your online password and hack your account.
I definitely wouldn't want that to happen.
Me neither. But being selective about the information you have accessible for people to see is very important. Check your privacy settings on your social media sites to make sure they only have information you want people to see. Yeah, I like to copy my profile URL, log out of the website, and paste it back into my web browser. Then I look over my profile to get an idea of what information of mine is open to the public.
That is a great idea.
It sure is. So what else are you going to do, Ben?
I'm gonna stop and consider any consequences before I post any type of content to my social media websites.
And welcome back. I've got with us Derek Maselli here.
Yes.
Do our Pick 6 segment of
I have
this week.
arrived.
Derek is here. He has arrived. Life is good. There's a few things we want to get into real quick. We'll jump right into it with our lead story from the scores. The Beauty and the Beast gymnastics and wrestling meet. You had some pretty strong thoughts on that. So.
I did. I liked it. I liked the idea. I've talked with people who actually went out, and it was cool because you paid one price and you got into both events, which I think is great. And I like that the university is attempting to bring more people out to these games, because I think historically these events haven't received a lot of attention. So like the whole, Beauty and the Beast, we have gymnastics and wrestling, and it was fun, and gymnastics gets a win. Lacey Rubin performs very well. I think she got, MAC Gymnast of the Week, I think.
Yeah, right before we went on. Yeah.
Wrestling, they're in a slump right now. They've been battling their way through injuries and such. But it was good, and you get that, and for one price, you get to see both events, and I think that's great. So, A+ for the Beauty and the Beast.
Is these are two non-revenue sports teams. The wrestling team, who for most of the fall semester, that early part of their season, and even going into the 2016 calendar year, they were on the verge of being nationally ranked.
Right.
And you've got the gymnastics team who is 7-1 right now, undefeated in MAC play.
They're on the verge of that top 25.
Exactly.
They were, I think,
they're 30th.
24 at one point.
Yeah, 30th and
right.
24th.
But
now
they're right on the bubble, so that's very exciting. But one thing that this kind of brings up that's interesting is this sort of trend that Eastern programs seem to have, in which they perform very well in non-conference play. Yet when you get into those conference contests, they start to struggle. And we'll talk about that in basketball in a minute here with both the men's and the women's teams as well. But you can make that case for a lot of programs. And that leads me to believe, one, either Eastern's teams are not as good as we think they are, or two, the MAC is a lot stronger than many give it credit for. So it's kind of difficult to tell right now, and it varies by sport. But I think in wrestling specifically, the MAC is much stronger than a lot of people give it credit
Member
for.
schools like Old Dominion, which you don't hear about. You know, they're kind of on the fringes. They just got into FBS in football, and they're in a different conference. But they're, you know, in the MAC in wrestling, and they're really a strong contending team almost every season. And so looking at that, and that's part of the reason why Eastern was on the verge of being nationally ranked, was because they had a good win against Old Dominion each of the last 2 seasons.
Right. So now let's go into basketball. It's
that's
obviously
the
a
elephant in the room at this
hot
point.
topic now.
And I think, you know, you talk about, you know, teams that are not, you know, that are decent out of conference. Once they get into the MAC play, they kind of falter. That's been the case for certain each of the last 2 years, and even a little bit beyond with the men's basketball team. I think it's one of those things, you know, you get out to a strong, you know, you heard about it, you know, we talked about it earlier in the season, you know, getting out to those NAIA schools, you know, what might, you know, be considered as an easy win, and then you turn around and go play in the MAC, and you know, drop below 500 overall, and you're 3-5 in the MAC.
Yeah.
Just like that.
You know, it is interesting, and again, there are budgeting conflicts and stuff that's taken up, you know, between coach and the department, the athletic department itself and such. But again, it is interesting to see a team that does start out typically very strong, but when it hits that conference play, drops. And analysts are onto this because we're in year 5 of Rob Murphy's regime now, and Eastern was projected to finish 4th in the MAC West.
Yep.
So people saw this coming.
Yeah, it's not like it was a
seems.
surprise. And
And that's unfortunate because they're a team, you know, they go out there and they try their darndest, you know, but something is just a little off. It seems like they're just missing. Each one of these teams really is just missing a little something, and you can argue whether that's chemistry because there's a lot of transfers or whatever it may be.
I think, and I'll be the one to, you know, come out and say it really. This, in specific to the men's basketball team, they've plateaued, I think, in the MAC. It's year 5 of Rob Murphy's program. They haven't really improved to the level that I think a lot of us expected they might a couple of years ago. The last 2 years, you know, it's just, you get out in the middle of conference play and they're treading water. And I think under Rob Murphy, this team is plateaued. It's year 5. I don't see him sticking around, you know, past that. I don't see him getting a contract extension. I think and I'm not calling the season over by any stretch of the imagination.
Sure.
You've got James Thompson, who has 13 double-doubles this year. Ty Toney scored 23 points in 2 of the last 3 games.
Sure.
Tim Bond he was in double figures against Western. It's just, I don't think this team is going to markedly improve where it is this season. They might make a solid run in the MAC tournament, but I don't see them contending to win it. And barring a miracle, I don't see them in the NCAA tournament.
Now let's talk about the women's team then. One of the favorites, they were sort of on the flip side. They were one of the favorites to win the MAC this season, still in the running for that. But they've had their fair share of struggles as well.
Yeah, they're
in
in a slump
conference play.
too.
Uncharacteristically, it seems that this was more surprising to many people than the men's team's current conference season. You have the 2 losses to Akron, both by 3-point margins. I think it was, 68-65 at the Convo, and then 75-72 in Akron. And the women's team, they will play Central on Wednesday. But what do you think the issue is?
Well,
here?
I think the last 2, especially the 75-72 game against Akron, there's a 12-point lead in the 3rd quarter. I think the problem is finishing.
Yeah.
They get out to this double-digit lead, and then for one reason or another, and I don't know if they get maybe overconfident. You know, it's a team with talent. You might see, okay, we got this 12-point lead. Let's, you know, kind of hold it and end this thing. And so they maybe get a little lax, and you turn around and see the other team get offensively hot. The defense cools off, and you get, you know, the result of a close loss like that.
And they've had a few this season, a few that have been pretty tough losses. But they're one that we've seen them, especially again in non-conference play, compete with some of the better teams in the country and hold their own for.
I think they started what, 10-2, 10-3, something like that.
Very strong,
Yeah.
and their losses were to very, very high caliber programs, and they weren't that
Right, and
crushing.
Exactly. They're losses that, okay, yes, they're losses. We expected that to happen, but they kept it close.
Yes, and we're actually hoping to interview two or a couple, one or two basketball players
in the next
here in the
couple of weeks
future
here, yeah.
from the women's team. So hopefully that'll be cool. We plan to challenge them
To a game of horse, we'll see if they, the powers that be allow that to happen. But we're excited.
Yes, I think that would be great. So, any final sort of projections or thoughts as to where these teams are now and what they have to do to finish?
I think the biggest thing, and we'll swing back to the men's, and we'll finish with the women's.
Okay.
The men's team, what it has to do is just, they have their strong performers. They have their, their Thompsons and their Tonys. But I have yet to see a complete and total team effort. And I mean offensively, defensively, at the free throw line.
Sure.
If those three things can come together, you might see a run of a few wins. I still think fourth in the MAC West is reasonable. But again, those three things need to happen consistently for that to be the case. Otherwise, it's dead last and first round exit, I think, in the tournament.
Yeah.
For the women, I think they can turn it around. I think you've got players like Shea Sweeney. You've got, Rachel Kehoe, who's a big presence down low.
Her and Baldwin both are
Yep.
dynamic. I think Kehoe is the better defensive player right now, but Baldwin can put up points.
And that's the
and
thing of
she's
it, too.
shown that,
And the bench is starting to heat up. That we've seen, a heretofore
More
unknown
Webb,
name. Yeah.
Daly coming in off the bench. It's a strong team, and I think they're every bit as upset and frustrated with how this conference play has gone as all of the fans.
Yeah.
Because I think they know that they're better than this, and we're just waiting. If they can break free against Central,
Yep. And I think this is where
they can
the chance lies to heat up at the right time, which is right now.
finish strong.
Finish strong, second or third in the MAC West. I'm leaning towards second place at this point. And they made a run in the MAC tournament last year. I
did.
think that's going to happen again this year.
Yes.
And I really think first or second place in the MAC is where this team's going to finish. But we're wrapping up. So thanks for watching us, for watching me and Derek, watching Jillian, our newest addition to the Eagle Sports Update team. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. And as always, good luck in your classes.
We are true EMU.
I am true EMU.
We are true EMU. I'll be right back, I told myself. I'm just going to grab a quick drink. 2 minutes later, and everything was gone. My backpack, my laptop, my cell phone, my iPod. 2 minutes was all it took. I was lucky. The thief was eventually caught and I got it all back. But now that I had that happen to me, I realized that anything valuable has to be treated like cash. I'll never leave it out of my sight again. My name is Heather, and I'm trying to be safe.